So anyway, I actually listened to the Trump speech about basically just gutting the Department of Education. And everything that I've heard from people who are opposed to it say he affirmed in his speech. And what I mean is people were wondering what's going to happen with the Pell Grants.
Okay.
And he's like, we're keeping the Pell Grants. And people are concerned about what happens to funding for special education and special needs children. He goes, no, we're keeping all of that. All of that is staying. And so he goes through it line by line, which is really weird, like to hear Trump do that. I've never heard him he usually speaks in like big grandiose ideas and things
general terms.
Yeah, exactly. Very general terms. But he went through line by line of all the things that I've heard other people express as a concern by getting rid of the Department of Education. Not, to be fair, we're not getting rid of the Department of Education. It's going to take Congress voting, and we don't have the votes to do that. So it's not. I don't think it's actually going to happen.
Right.
But he was saying all of the things that you're concerned about, we're going to keep.
Right.
And to keep it in perspective, we've only had the Department of Education since 1979.
Oh.
That's not that long.
No.
And the thing that a lot of people that are in favor of this are pointing out is that since 1979, education standards have drastically declined.
And we have the worst or one of the worst.
One of the worst.
Yeah.
One of the worst. And now I don't know that you can lay that all at the feet of one department.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think that's fair.
Especially when the states do still have rights when it comes to what they teach and how they teach it.
And a lot of influence.
They do.
On that. There's a reason there's local school boards that get together and talk about a curriculum. Now, some of that is kind of narrow that they can actually discuss and make changes on. But so whenever we have conversations about this, I usually bring this book, and that's the reason I brought it in the studio tonight.
Okay.
So this is a book that I keep in my library, and people that listen to the show regularly probably don't know. I am a avid book collector, reader, all this kind of stuff. I have had this book in my collection for about 30 years.
Okay.
And this book was published in 1904.
All right.
Okay. And can you read the title?
It says Poems Every Child Should Know.
Poems Every Child Should Know. So I actually use this when I talk to young adults a lot of times because I want them to understand how their brains have changed over the years because of technology. Mm-hmm. This is actually a school book from 1904. And if you read the introduction to this book, what it will tell you is the intention of this book is for children to memorize these poems.
Okay. That doesn't happen anymore, first of all.
It's not a thin book.
No, it's a lot.
And if you open, and when I say poems every child should know, that's exactly what it means, is that you should know these poems, right? And these are not lightweight poems. I mean, some of these poems go for pages. A lot of this is Rudyard Kipling, Lord Byron. I'm just flipping through it to give you context for what Longfellow, right?
It's not Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout.
No,
it's
not. It's not like the Shelley Silverstein,
right?
Which he was a great poet,
sure.
But the intention of this book was to be a reader that children would memorize and know poetry. Kind of and I'm not trying to be religious about it, but kind of like children were expected to read and memorize the Bible.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, that was a big part of people's education.
It was,
and so we learn different now, and standards have changed, and I get that, but at the same time, the potential for our brain is not being used.
I don't disagree,
and so it's good to go back and look at a book published in 1904.
Yeah,
I mean that was before World War I, y'all.
That's
yeah.
There,